Okay. I do have a good soapbox rant for today, so.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Well, not
Get
yet.
us rolling.
I want to get some shit queued up here, and then I will.
Okay.
So give me some news, Joe, while I'm doing this.
Well, it's interesting because it's my daughter's graduating from high school week, basically.
Oh, holy shit! That's awesome, dude, and scary and sad at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely weird because you do realize what it does. The most interesting thing to me is it puts me back when I was going through that same thing. Right. And, what I was thinking of at that time. But importantly, at that age, 18 is the age. I mean, for me, it was 17, but she's 18. You think back at the way you thought about everything, and I think you really did think you knew everything.
Yeah.
Or at least I did.
I did. I totally did.
Yeah. And there's
my
something
parents
to do
were
with
complete idiots.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, and they always said that we were, whatever they would say to us, which is basically something on the, oh, you think you know everything, or, it's all about you, or something like that, whatever they would say when we were professing our all-knowing knowledge.
Exactly.
Not that I get that from her, not at all, but just, I remember just how, when I look back now after all those sort of cycles I've been through or experiences, that, I didn't know shit, basically. It's like, yeah, exactly. So, and it's not that I'm not trying to diminish the youth, or, the late teens, 20s somethings, but, you're sort of invincible in so many ways, and you haven't encountered colossal friggin' failures and emotional devastation. You haven't had to deal with those things that just really rip the wires out of the whole system.
Yeah.
And it's getting through those that really makes you understand things. Is all I'm trying to get to.
I will say, look, at my kids are a little bit nerdier because their dad is, and a little bit more informed because their dad never shuts up. But I will say that I notice amongst them and even their friends, my daughter's an athlete, but she's also now going to be a cheerleader at the high school, and she made the cheer team. And so that's exciting. And all of that. But she's a great student, and she's really smart. But interestingly enough, amongst all of her little girlfriends, they're all really kind of scary informed. Now, when I was in high school, I was informed because I was a debater, I was involved in politics and all that shit, but everybody else I knew couldn't care less. What I find is that this generation seems much more engaged in the political spectrum, and that's a product of all the news they get on TikTok and Twitter and everything else. But I also think they started really fucking looking at the world more deeply when COVID hit, right? And they've lived through the Trump presidency and all that shit. And I think that kind of the impending doom of COVID and all of them being kind of thrown out of their lives, I think they're a little more mature than I was, and a little bit better prepared than I was. But I still think you're right. They have a long ways to go to getting there. But, and these are also kids that have, lived with bi-monthly mass shooter drills. So, something else to live with either. So anyway,
but my point, my point wasn't to pick on this current generation.
Oh, no, I know that. Absolutely not. No, I think it's true of all generations. Absolutely.
In conclusion is that I'm really curious to see what this generation is going to think, in, decades later, let's put it that way, what they're going to have seen. So on your AI area, things like that. So,
well, I'm actually, I've kind of labeled what I see as kind of the job changes that will come from AI, and the employment system and the financial systems changes that will come from AI. And I think that, there's this going to be a period of chaos, the chasm of chaos that's coming. And unfortunately, for our kids, as they roll out into the world, there's going to be an impact from that. So, I try to have them think about that and prepare for it. Niblet says, as parents, our job is to make sure kids don't need us anymore. I tell my kids all the time my job is to delete myself, right? My job is to make sure, and I know your daughter, man, she's like go-getter. She's like prepared, driven, like she's going to surge in college, dude. She seems very ready.
I have noticed a lot in the last, to Niblet's point as well, that I have noticed in the last couple of months, just a kind of, it's been going on this year, but just a pure sort of grasping of everything as hers at this point, and accountability and everything else. And so, but part of me was letting go, earlier in the year, because, I'll admit I was always kind of like, trying to game the system a little bit for her, and kind of put her into on the board at a elevated probability of success. She has a high priced management strategy consultant on her team, basically. Yeah. Doesn't quite know it, but I kind of stopped. I kind of stopped. The same with you. Yeah. They don't really realize what you're doing behind the scenes as far as.
My son's doing intern interviews, and every one of them right now is crypto companies. So
yeah, and basically, you gave him his bullet list of things to say, and he perfected it and figured it out, and now it's it's his list. But
exactly.
But the point is that when I stopped doing that, I noticed, particularly these kids coming out of like pandemic isolation, is that shit fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
I mean, it just did, because, it wasn't getting triaged as efficiently for her. And it took her a while to figure out how to do it. And she did.
Yeah. My wife can't resist bailing. And I'm always like, please let them fail a little bit. Please let them fuck up. Please.
It's hard. I mean, because then they, well, here, where your kids go to school too, it's like, it's competitive, it's like everybody's got, college consultants and tutors and, private activities, it's everybody's kind of going for the edge, or everybody's, got aspirations at least.
Yep.
So it's competitive.
Yeah, totally. Oh, dude, school is so much different than when I was in high school. It's fucking ugly. Like, I would have flunked out at 16 just because of the amount of work. I would have been like, fuck this shit.
Exactly.
I don't know it yet, but I have it.
I was a slacker, but the thing is, I sat in class, not a slacker as in hanging out and, whatever, sleeping all day, but I just mean in the sense of, I was reading my own books in class, whatever I wanted to read. Yeah, exactly.
Stuff I like. Yeah,
I would have been hazed out of there so fast.
Yeah. Speaking of juvenile behavior, Chuck's up with a big debate. Joe,
what's he got going on?
A master debater, even, but we have to expect that. We have to.
Yeah.
The nerds. We all stick with the juvenile humor. So.
Yeah.
I would have said it too. Sean says, "Can we please pick on this next generation? It's kind of our job." Yeah. Well, you know what? We should do a show where we bring our kids on and we all just sit and make fun of them. That might be fun. That'd be fun.
Or how about they come on and tell everybody what they're fucking all about, and then let everybody say, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff.
That's good. I like that. Niblets, Sean, I apologize for laughing out loud, but I'm fucking laughing out loud. It looks like we're all auditioning for the reboot of Cocoon. I nominate Sean as Wilfred. Wow.
I'll go for one of the young people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe Nibbles decided he's not going to have Sean on his show anymore. I don't know. That's hilarious. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is funny, man.
All right.
That guy always had a good mustache, though, man. Wilfred.
Oh, dude, he was such a good character actor. Too.
And he could sell some insurance, couldn't he, man? I mean, that guy, his like TV commercials, whether it was reverse mortgages or I don't know, whatever, burial insurance. That guy could sell some insurance. Oh, dude, that totally voice, man. Yeah, he's got that voice.
Help, friendly, trustworthy voice,
Just definitely. Relax. I'm just pulling the plug, man. Exactly. That's all it is. Just pulling the plug.
All right, let's get into some DeFi or some crypto today. So I did a bit of a diatribe. Shocking, I know. So, I'm not one to hold back. So Coinbase, Niblets, I bought his insurance when I was still 23. But my diabetes. Yeah, that's good. Good check. Good check. Fucking, we got a crew in this group. I'm telling you. So I woke up this morning to see that Coinbase was going to start running ads in the DC area, obviously targeting Congress, which I think is great. I love that they're doing it. I think it's smart to start targeting, the people who are making decisions, their staff, all of that. Hopefully they'll see the ads. So I watched the ad here. I'm going to play the ad real quick. Let's do that. I downloaded it. And
I guess this is an opposition to a more direct kind of hookers and blow strategy.
Yeah, that's it. Now, so what they're doing is they're trying to make the case that crypto is good and positive, and we're going to lose out if we miss out, man. And you know me, I love to rant about messaging and narrative, and so and I'm certainly not always right, but I am now. We'll see.
Well, your little brief flirtation with Brian and the Coinbase debit card didn't last very long.
Well, I still have the debit card. And I'll use it. I'm just pissed off that the fucking trades, the fee-free trading is not really fee-free trading. It's fee-free fucking swapping with them marking the price up. So anyway, but that's neither here nor there.
All Let's see. How do I start this? I'll just do it and tell me when to stop.
3, 2, 1.
The naive view of crypto is that this is some speculative asset that people are trading and they're going to lose their shirts. That's missing the forest through the trees. Fundamentally, crypto is not a financial product. It's a technology that can update all kinds of financial products. It can improve settlement times. It can make it cheaper to send money to your family overseas in another country. It can be a new way for artists to get paid. Cryptocurrency, regardless of what you think about it, it's not going anywhere. It can't be uninvented. Most of the world is embracing this technology now to update their financial system. And what I fear is that we're going to be sitting here in 5 or 10 years, and we're going to come back to crypto and think about it like we did with 5G or semiconductors and say, wow, now it's a matter of national security that we get it brought back onshore. We need to see what the potential of it is and where it goes. And we need to do that. We need a clear rule book in the United States.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so he hits some good messaging, right? And I love the tagline. It's time to update the system is great. It's really good. Okay, but I think I think they're struggling for a cohesive message. And here's the bottom line. I started my career off in politics, right? And everything we did in political campaigns was repetition and, the education level of a third grader. And there's a really important reason for that. People then, their attention spans were already shortened. They're even worse now, but you have to hit on
You're saying campaign staff had that level of education or the population?
That's it. So I did a reply to him. I think I was pretty polite. And let me for some reason there's like a friggin' dupe of this, and I don't fucking understand it. It's really strange. Hold on a second. I thought I deleted that one. Let me see.
I don't get a warm fuzzy feeling when I see him talking.
Well, and here's the thing. So I said, look, I'll just read it and then we can comment on it. So I said, Brian, I appreciate and applaud you for taking the initiative to message Congress on our behalf, but I feel like there are much stronger messaging and narrative strategies. This should be a series of spots showing the huge problems in the existing financial system. And then I started off with number one. The guy making millions from speculation shouldn't be convincing lawmakers it isn't speculation. I get that you truly believe in what crypto can do for the world and you believe in financial freedom. You're working on your own decentralized L2, but it will ring hollow with Congress and voters because of the position you're in today. It's like the guy standing up there saying crypto is not about speculation while he's making billions or millions and millions on speculation is probably not the guy to deliver that message, right? And I'm not even sure he should be delivering the message at all, right? I think these are probably more narrative, political style ads that will hit home stronger. And then I said, and also I also said, payments don't sell. They have Zelle, they have Cash App, they have Venmo and PayPal. Let it go. There is a bigger, more powerful and simple narrative that let them see payments later, right? I mean, it is a powerful model for what we're doing, but you're not going to convince the average person or the member of Congress that on-chain payments have any meaning unless you really go deep dive into the philosophy, and then you've lost them. Right. So because
we're trying to get that into infrastructure anyhow. So why highlight payments?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the problem is he tried to mix too many messages into this commercial, right? I said the only slightly good messaging strategy here is we will miss out, but it needs to be harder hitting and oriented to jobs, and America losing trillions in finance and technology, not, well, we might regret it later, blah, 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 blah. Right. But again, I think he was trying to hit some of the good messaging, and, maybe he's been listening to me rant. Who knows? I don't know. I said the other powerful messages are all oriented around one narrative, that crypto finance is superior to the fraud-ridden, middleman infested, expensive and opaque system we have today because it is transparent. I said, first message, middlemen are stealing your money, regulators are wasting your money, and regulators force middlemen on you. Crypto finance eliminates middlemen and frees up regulation for real crime because everything's transparent and almost instantaneous. Next message, our financial system is opaque and allows crises like the mortgage crisis and Ponzi schemes like Bernie Madoff to fester below the surface where it can't be detected by regulators until it's too late and can devastate our economy and investors. Crypto finance is transparent. It allows regulators to focus on the criminals instead of worrying about regulatory compliance. You get the idea. Last one I hit, money laundering. Again, fraud, terrorism. Hit that one because that's the push button that the regulators like to use, right? And we can say it's opaque, so it's easier to hide on our system. It's a lot harder to move money on a transparent system. Anyway, I summed up and said, you have to give Congress something to grab hold of and give them a reason to like crypto finance and to advocate for it. It has to be something that will help them in an election. All the messages above resonate with them and will resonate with voters. In one of them I didn't get to, I mentioned how much we have to spend on bureaucracy and regulators enforcing shit that's not even related to actual fraud or problems, right? And all of the auditing and all the bureaucracy that goes into this and how much money is wasted in time when in fact they could be actually enforcing fraud is another part of the messaging. Anyway, so I just said our primary messaging must be that crypto finance is a better, safer, cheaper, faster, more profitable way of doing money because it is transparent. We must be proactively messaging Congress, but we also must be proactively selling the message to voters that they will earn more and government will protect them better and cheaper with crypto finance. So that was my little reply to Brian this morning. The bottom line is for me is I think we all are guilty of trying too hard to sell Austrian economics or mix the messages together. And I think there's a clear message and an active, proactive position that we can take in this community. And that is, this is a better way to do finance. It's safer, it's cheaper, it's more profitable for the investors, and it eliminates bureaucracy and cost, waste, and fraud. And so I think if we can get around that message and that message to Congress, that gives Congress something to grab hold of. If you can't give Congress, well, we might lose out, or, payments are nice and you can send money to your relatives in Colombia. That is not something a fucking congressperson is going to give a shit about. That is not going to get them to say, I get it. And you're only going to get a few Congress people who will spend the dime to deep dive into it. And those guys already have. You've got.
I guess you could call it the cryptocurrency terrorism prevention plan.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah,
right? Or
get into the terrorism rubric
prevention plan, because that's always a push button. Or the methamphetamine, prevention plan.
Well, what do we call it? What was the semiconductor thing? It was like the Inflation Reduction Act or something like that.
Exactly.
So this has to be something about like terrorism prevention through cryptocurrency strategic initiative act or something.
Yeah. Sean says, guy running exchange says it's not about trading. Exactly. Chuck says that was a nut slap to the SEC. It didn't sound aimed at the congressional naysayers. Yeah, well, maybe he's just trying to slap the SEC around. The message to Congress be, don't let our financial industry lose to overseas interests. Let us build tech for finance the way they build tech for the internet. Don't wreck your paymasters. I like that a lot. Niblet said, either we do this or we'll be paying in digital yuan in 10 years. That's a good fear mongering message. Friggin' love that. That's you Niblets. That's the, Niblets comes across as this really nice guy. He's got that deep, dark, negative attack.
Well, and he can't be blamed as being American racist because he's Canadian.
America. Canada.
but I didn't mean, obviously he doesn't mean it that way. But when you play on the anti-China message, you gin up certain feelings in certain members of society.
Exactly.
I mean, I think we just saw that playbook played out over, the last 6 years, on a whole variety of different segments. But
Absolutely.
but to me, it's sort of it's a hard space for me. I see what he's trying to do, and like you said, he's shoving all these messages together. But to me, when I first heard the spiel going out, I thought it was like something from 2018 or something like that.
I know.
It was all about payments, and it wasn't until he brought on the whole China piece at the very end that I was like, oh, this is today. I think it's like it has to start with that last message, not to whip up a bunch of anti-China stuff, but to whip up
We're gonna lose.
Yeah, exactly. Lose control of, the payment processes, let's put it that way, or the financial nodes or something,
Well, our entire financial system, right? I mean, we dominate the world with our financial system. So, if everyone adopts crypto, and that's what he was trying to say at the beginning. I mean, I have to be fair. There was some good messaging there. I just think it was too mixed. You got to be one line, right?
Because
one narrative.
He's trying to say that we're not all the fucking shit show that you saw over the last year or so. Where to me, I'm kind of like, why even remind anybody of that shit show?
Yeah, exactly.
Why even bring it up? It's just like, we're here on the launching pad, the vanguard of future finance in the globe, and it should be let out of New York, basically, or something, some spiel. Since I'm just not trying to sound like, jingoistic or over American, but it's just because he is an American company and he's playing within the American regulatory landscape. So that's just why I'm saying that message thing.
Well, this is very American oriented. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, for our European and Asian friends, I guess just deal with it for today. But the point is that
fuck off.
I guess I didn't really mean it like that, but I was just saying, America, mate. What's the latest?
How fucking great we are.
What's the latest iteration of making ourselves greater again, or something like that? I don't know what the fuck we are, but. But the point is that that's the messaging to Congress, because that's what Congress is supposed to do. If you can go drop $40 billion on semiconductors or whatever, it should be, how do we maintain this critical technology in the hands of the West, basically? So throw that bone to you there, Niblets, and as well as our European pals.
The people he should pander to are the big investment banks. If they want it, the Congress and SEC will toe the line. That's a good point too. This is bullish news as far as I'm concerned. Having been to Macau and seen a crowd of Chinese traders swarming blockchain projects in 2017, I can tell you that Hong Kong allowing retail trading is going to boost not only crypto, but also going to boost the down economy in Macau and Hong Kong, because everybody and their dog will be traveling to Hong Kong. I don't know if they'll set up offices or apartments or whatever, but this is good news. And look, I still wouldn't put a business in Hong Kong for crypto, but anything they do to get folks there trading, we know how much that's driven a volume in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, sure, we have a lot of the geopolitical shit going on right now, China, Russia, Ukraine, Europe, US, all of it. But the point is that you can't deny the fact that 1.4 billion Chinese, some portion of which gamble and like crypto, I'm going to say maybe 1 billion of them, you can't say that that's bad for crypto to have them all teeing it up,
Absolutely.
Jumping into the game again. I mean, I'm like all for it. And you know me, governments are always going to argue and squabble, but it's all about the people. And so to me, it's like, let's let it rip, man. I don't care if it's in gambling houses or kiosks in Macau, or it's on, the streets of Wan Chai in friggin' Hong Kong or something. It's like, let's get it on.
They'll just turn all the Macau casinos into crypto trading floors.
Yeah, I mean, some might argue there's Not a big difference there, right?
Exactly. Well, that's kind of the point, right? Right.
If you could put DraftKings and FanDuels in there too, man, or get Sportbook going. I don't know how they do over there in Macau, if there's a big sports betting industry or not, like there is in Vegas. But I know there's big horse racing betting in Hong Kong. I'm sure that there's got to be a track in Macau. So you would think that you might as well fuse it all together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fractional ownership of Hong Kong racehorses into DeFi.
There you go. I can love that.
Liquidity pools around.
Shit out of that because everybody would want to say they owned one, right?
Yeah, the HK dollar versus pick a horse and maybe have an index of horses, and then do LPs, and then people could somehow tie that into live betting. Look, it's I haven't been there in like 10 years, but it's a fun place. I mean, it's that part. South China is actually very cool in the sense that Cantonese people, they're very fun, man. And you get, it's kind of like Hong Kong back then was sort of like the New York City of the East, where maybe like Singapore was more like I don't know, like the capital city place. It wasn't as gritty, or it's not as gritty as Hong Kong. And it's wide open.
I had to look this up because I know what the fuck Niblets was talking about. These are neighborhoods there. I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah. Lan Kwai Fong.
If you told me in December that the number 2 chain for NFT sales this month would be Bitcoin, I would have fucking fallen over laughing. But Bitcoin is the number 2 chain for NFT sales.
I'm glad Bitcoin is actually, upped his brand game and is going more premium positioning with this whole NFT thing, because I think it really will help elevate them for the long haul. I know that, the brand's been diluting some, but not with NFT in it. I think it's just going to rock.
Well, it's not just NFTs either. Like, I got to tell you, there's a lot. But actually, there's a shit ton going on here. I've spent the last, thanks to Shizzy, bits and pieces of the last couple of days, taken to a deeper dive, listened to a couple of podcasts from some Bitcoiners that I have a lot of respect for, kind of got a measure of the level of hype, not only for NFT sales, but of developers building on this, because in this NFT and the ordinals inscriptions, and then in their BRC20 standard, the ability to inscript, write JSON files to the blockchain, it's always been there. It's just easier and better to do now that the Taproot was implemented. And I was on a Spaces and was asked a question last night. And somebody was kind of some Ethereum folks and other folks were kind of naysaying it and everything else. And I said, look, you're missing the point. The point is not the NFTs. The point is not what's happening right now, except for the number of developers and VCs who are diving into this right now and see the potential to build on top of this, and the loosening up of the conversation about things like roll-ups and side chains and layer 2s. This is really shifting the narrative for a group of people who felt like there was no conversation to be had about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's spinning it up, and it's really fascinating to watch this kind of happening in real time, like the battle between the people who want it and the people who don't, the people like Sean who say, hey, if you can do it on the chain, do it on the chain. It's okay. It's the chain. Right. But it's really, this is heating up fast. Shizzy was absolutely right the other day. And look, the volume of NFT sales has dropped off. It went from 1 billion to 500 million in like a week. That to me is irrelevant. The real relevance here is what's happening behind the scenes, the number of developers, the VCs piling in. I've reached out to a couple of people I know that are investors in Bitcoin projects, and they are buried and going crazy right now with everything that's happening. And the other piece of this is that it is driving a model. There were 3 blocks in a row or 2, I can't remember, Sean can tell me, where the fees were greater than the block rewards, than the subsidy. And so that is making the case for post next halvening or later on. How is the network going to be secured when the tokens being generated are not enough to really compensate miners? This kind of activity is a model that actually can support that. And so I think that we're going to see in 3 months, 6 months, an explosion, maybe even shorter time frame. And if you consider what's been built in 2 months, there is a DEX for trading. Obviously, compute is happening off chain. This is not a smart contract play. Don't get me wrong. It's not Nirvana. But there is now a lending mechanism coming up for borrowing and lending against NFTs. So what's happening is people are saying, oh, there's an opening here. I love Bitcoin. I'm a developer. And now I can finally fucking do something. Right. And it's heating up. So I think in the next 2, 4, 6 months, we're going to see an explosion of launches. It may or may not drive more, but I think it will drive more.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think what's the interesting thing to me is that, I didn't really see it as at BTC, Miami or 2023. I didn't really see it as a major part of the show and discussion. There was, in the expo area, it was a smaller section, mainly art. But I think you hit that one key point is it definitely has moved the needle in what's a tolerable or allowable discussion of outcomes, because, there was a very absolutist perspective for a while. That gets chipped away and this has moved that needle further over into that world that we've been talking about for a couple of years now, which is that maybe since this is already designated as a commodity and not a security, Bitcoin is the foundational layer of a whole bunch of stuff, and DeFi and everything else all of a sudden becomes permissible. Yep. In the sense that you're not starting with the underlying of a security. You're now, starting with an asset that's not. So it's cool.
Exactly. And then you look at things like Sovereign, Rootstock, Stacks, Liquid.
Yep.
Chains and layer 2s that have existed for a little while now that never really got like explosive growth, right? Those are going to start seeing some more use cases, right? Okay, I've got smart contracts on Stacks. I have the ability to write data to the chain directly here, which you already had. I want to make clear, you already were capable of doing that. It's just it's a better mechanism for doing it now. And what's happening now is people are saying, "Oh, what can I build here?" Right? Like what can I build? Because I love Bitcoin. I'm a developer. What can I contribute? What can I build? How can I make money from this? VCs are saying, give me your ideas. So it's real. I got to tell you, my head was spinning the time I took in I'll put some podcast links into some. Some really good.
You got to give us your AI link fantasy, though. You got to somehow link in some kind of AI fantasy with all of this too. So
well, look, I mean, again, I talk about AI being the compute layer, right? I mean, ultimately, apps are dead. Ultimately, dApps will be dead. Ultimately, OSs will be unimportant. It will be the winners will be the layer in between the engine and the AI that makes it easy for people to create whatever they need to use to fulfill whatever job or role or function they need. So that's coming. We're early. So anyway.
Yeah.
Remember Dash? Remember masternodes?
Yes, I do. I remember when it was that was your focus of the day.
Yes, sir. That lasted a while.
For Brad. It did.
I gained a lot of expertise there and made some money and then lost some.
That was the 18-19 range, right? Wasn't that like when we were trying to figure out what was, the node plays and GraviX and all those other things? Yeah.
Yeah. So Dash was a big privacy coin. I can't remember what its original name was. Maybe they say in this article. Before it was called Dash. They changed the name to kind of rebrand it and make it not sound so, I think it was like Black something or I don't remember. Anyway, Dash is a master-node blockchain, high speed, privacy built in, and Bitcoin, I believe a Bitcoin clone. But it was actually cranking along, always had a strong community. I have no idea what its activity was like recently. They tried to do an upgrade with a hard fork and it failed and the chain seized up. They did, I believe, release a patch to solve it for now, but they've got some big problems with obviously trying to resolve that.
Didn't they have some issues back in 2018 on the security stuff or something like that?
Yeah, I
What
think
does
they
it-
actually,
Settled, right?
got sued or got a lie, or I don't know. I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
see. No real dump on that though. Oh no, this is one day. Sorry. Let's go to drops tab. No, no, that's pre lockup. So the price hasn't reacted to it. That's good news. So Sean says the amount of lies and grift happening with BRC20s is shocking to me. Maybe it's because I am not used to this in shitcoin land, but it's disgusting. Sean, well, it looks like we may have to discuss this a little bit. I know we're bringing a guest on to discuss strategies, but I'd love to talk about it. Look, I think that there's going to be plenty of grift and plenty of, it's money. People can make money. It's going to be that way. But I do believe there are some real fundamental possibilities of some cool things happening. And that's, really the point I was trying to make. But yeah, I believe there's plenty of grift happening.
Yeah.
So
Welcome
there's money
to the
to be
jungle.
made. People are piling in. It's going to happen. So I don't know if you saw this. I don't think we talked about this yesterday. Or maybe we did. Did we talk about this? DCG missed.
I don't think we talked about it, but I remember reading about it. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Are we surprised?
Not really. I think we knew there was going to be a shakeout somewhere that, now they'll settle, whatever. But, I mean, I'm just amazed that it wasn't worse, when you see that whole like Gemini, Genesis, DCG relationship. I mean, that could easily have gone, like I say easily, but I could see a world where that went the same way that the other two, dynamic duo twins. I'm not talking about Winklevi. I'm talking about, like FTX and Alameda or Terra 3AC, there's always a combination in there.
Yeah, exactly.
That could easily gone bad. So I'm glad it didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm not overly shocked about this. You remember us talking about Eigenlayer?
A little bit.
Eigenlayer. So Eigenlayer is the protocol that allows people who have staked as validators for Ethereum to that's the oddest drawing of it.
Restake, like liquid stake it, basically.
Well, not liquid stake it, but allow you to utilize the security of the Ethereum blockchain in other protocols, right? So you could repurpose those to secure a protocol or to secure something else. And Vitalik came out with one of his essays bringing up some relatively serious concerns about the risks around that. He specifically mentions Eigenlayer, but he also says that it seems like a lot of the dynamics about whether the examples he gave are low risk or high risk are going to be human involved in terms of kind of these protocols that decide to use that consensus of the Ethereum layer for other tasks. If essentially it comes down to this, if a protocol became like highly profitable for someone and something happened to cause that protocol to fail in some way, that there is a risk that the people who are also utilizing their staking there have enough staking capability as validators to actually force a hard fork or do something crazy because they're trying to roll back the chain to prior to the crazy calamity that happened on this other protocol, right? And I think that's a valid concern. And
we're talking about EOS?
No, he's talking about Ethereum and protocols on Ethereum that are utilizing the validator staking in this Eigenlayer and other protocols to take advantage of the security of the Ethereum network by utilizing staked nodes, right? So bottom line is he brings up a lot of concerns. He gave a ton of scenarios that are high risk, low risk, etc. He says that he thinks that there are some good uses. And then he gets kind of into potential bugs and problems that could also cause problems for Ethereum overall. I mean, bottom line is I think he would prefer people don't go down this path. But he also obviously realizes it's permissionless, so people can do whatever the fuck they want. But it's certainly a concern. Now, the founder of Eigenlayer responded to this, but I don't want to give his response because I haven't read through his tweet stream responding to it. I guess we could kind of he's saying that if Vitalik's right, that his points are valid. he's talking about kind of low risk things versus high risk things, like he said. And he's basically saying everybody should behave, I think. But I really don't want to put words in his mouth till I've had time to really read what he's saying. But
sounds like a good answer.
Yeah,
So I like it. I like your crisis management PR activity there on the fly.
Yeah,
So
yeah, like that.
any of you little CEOs out there that are cutting corners, you might want to have Brad in your corner.
There you go.
Keeps you out of jail. Keeps you out of jail.
So this morning, I put out an episode that was only 2 months late because I moved a video interview file that I had done to my archive folder and realized it. The managing editor of DL News, DeFi Llama's news org, I never actually posted his episode. And so
now we know why we never got the sponsorship discussion going with them.
So the crazy
at the bottom of it says, "Oh yeah, we'll sponsor you for $1 million a month."
Exactly.
Like, oops, missed this one.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to sponsor me for that. But
what do you mean?
Really
what do you mean, me, dude? It's us, bro.
Oh, yeah, I mean us. Yeah.
You scoundrel over there! Everybody saw that. Go ahead, Brad. I'm teasing.
I know you are. So anyway, the article was, the interview is really focused on the fact that DL News is approaching this as they're only hiring professional journalists. They're have incredible editorial management standards. They have everything is, DeFi Llama has no say. They have complete independence. They're fully funded for far in advance. They don't take ads. They don't take sponsored posts. They're going to probably go to a subscription model later on.
Sounds like us.
Yeah, well, there you go. And so, and so, in light of that, getting that episode ready to post, and talking about the fact, like, can we actually have real journalism in crypto? And I don't want to say all journalists are bad in crypto, but most of them aren't really journalists. I just happened to load this up, and it just kind of fucking cracks me up. So I loaded this up right after I was starting to post the episode. It says, this is good old Cointelegraph. Breaking: Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to accept campaign donations in Bitcoin. It is the first political campaign in U.S. history to accept Bitcoin donations. And I'm just like, well, dude, I'm sorry. Having been engaged heavily with the Andrew Yang campaign, I think he might want to have a word with you. But it's like I tweeted, does Cointelegraph even bother to fact check anything, right? And that's the real difference between Cointelegraph with sponsored posts, with ads, with clickbait headlines, and DL News, who have broken, like, I don't know, since they launched 7 or 8 huge stories, the Do Kwon arrest stuff and everything else. It's just a real difference. So I'd encourage everybody to go check out the episode and listen to the kind of the philosophy and how they're building it. And then also, please go check out DL News, because I think it's a good place to get your info and get your news. So what did Chuck say? This is Khan from Succession. Kennedy is trending in Alaska. Dude, that's so good. That's so good.
That is brilliant, man.
Diblis said, Jesus fucking Christ, RFK Jr., what the fuck? Yeah, I know. The guy's batshit crazy.
Yeah, he was at BTC Miami. And it was funny because it was obviously smaller than the usual turnout, I suspect. But there was him, and there was that other Republican dude, Robin Washalami or something like that.
Vivek.
Yeah, Vivek.
That wasn't too racist there, but go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant that I was reading his article today, and I've had a bunch of friends called Vivek and stuff, and I was just seeing like Ramaswamy or something like that. But the point is that they all had security. Secret Service protection. That's why, or something. That's why I was kind of noticed that they're around. But I said to somebody, like, "What's with all the Secret Service? Is it Rama guy?" And they're like, "Oh." They go, "Oh no, it's RFK Jr." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Where the hell's he?" And I didn't even see him.
Why would he still have a Secret Service on?
Maybe he has just private security or something.
Private security, and I'm sure Vivek does, because he's a billionaire. So I'm sure he's got.
Yeah, because they were all suited up, but they weren't looking too hostile. They were kind of just standing around, looking around. There's you can see real security. Like they're like, okay, shoot this guy, this guy, this guy. And you got the guys that are just looking around, So
exactly.
What kind of security to be careful with. but he was running around there spieling his thing, his crazy messages. So
yeah,
well, whatever.
Yeah, he's such as yeah. Niblet says this space has such a problem with deeply unserious peeps. More Sean's, fewer bit boys. Hell yeah, absolutely. Let's get more Sean's. By the way, just to clarify, Sean is bringing on someone he's worked with extensively with his strategies and helping them come through with their own strategies. On Thursday, they'll be anonymous, but they're going to kind of talk about their experience, what they've learned, how they've done things, that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. So
a Sean protege.
Yes, Sean protege. Yes,
I like it.
Yes,
I like it. That'll be fun.
Some folks from the material indicators community. That's where this all connected together. So,
oh, nice.
So there was a little tussle with Ledger this week because they announced they were launching a service that they built into the firmware of the Ledger hardware wallets that would allow you to use a remote capability to recover your keys, which sounds lovely for newbies, right? And that was evidently their goal, but it was like kind of automatically upgraded on everybody. And what they then had to admit was that if someone was accessing and using the service, that if they were subpoenaed, they would have to give access to that wallet's information. I assume seed phrase or keys. So they have decided, I guess actually, I don't think they actually rolled out the full upgrade. I think that they were talking about it. They announced it and then they didn't roll it out yet. And so they today have said that they're rethinking that strategy. So look, I think if it's something where you say to the end user, hey, Mr. End user, if you're concerned you might lose your keys, here are the risks. We could be subpoenaed and reveal your information. We'll do our best to protect it, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're somebody that doesn't want it, you don't have to download it, right? And so I think the idea that it was just going to be installed on everyone. Now, the other part of this was it actually got a lot of people educated that were crypto natives about kind of what the hardware wallet has access to and what's exposed in the wallet. And so it's actually kind of opening some eyes and letting people kind of see how all this functions. So the bad news for Ledger is good news for the space because it's making Ledger rethink what they're doing in their strategy, but it's also making everybody think about understanding security in wallets. This is the thing I don't understand again. But when a company releases a product like this and they've been in the space and they know how security and privacy conscious their customers are, why you announce something like this without thinking through how people would react to it. So
yeah, that's my feeling too. And I started, while you're talking, I was grappling with, is there a product like this for the newbie? Right. But again, it's a different layer of security, I guess, but yeah, maybe you cap the amount that can be held on I don't know how you would do that, but what?
Look at that. Shizzy and you are on the same page. Niblet says Shizzy suggested Ledger should have two different wallets, one with training wheels, one without. Don't contaminate one with the features, frictions of the other.
Yeah, there you go.
I agree. I mean, obviously that's a resource issue for them to manage, but definitely. By the way, Sean said, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe there's like a training course you take there that you graduate from the trainer wallet to the full-time wallet where, some of those features disappear once you've passed a certain test. Like,
exactly. Well, you have to
lose your fucking
in that case,
seed
you
phrase.
have to like shift to, transfer everything to another wallet and have a new set of keys, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, real quick, John said about the guest on Thursday, haha, way better than me, but someone who started in 2020 and is still here. Interesting story. I can't wait to hear it all. I think I know a little bit of it, but not all of it. Sean said the Ledger story is very interesting and highlights some issues with mass adoption. It's not actually what crypto Twitter is freaking out about. Okay, Sean, we're going to have like a 3-hour show on Thursday because we've got like now multiple topics as well as our guests. So just saddle up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, because we always talk about user adoption, onboarding of, the masses and how to make that easier. And I'm sure they're thinking along those ways, but I think to Sean's point, it is, there shouldn't be hinting services around about seed phrases, because look, if you think it's not going to be hard for quantum computers to sort this shit out, on this, when you start giving it a hinting service, I mean, that's going to be like game over, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Last piece for today. FTX 2.0 launching soon. Court filing shows a rebirth plan is actually in the works. They kind of teased this out a few weeks ago. I mean, I guess what they're getting at is, I think it's still a good exchange, right? So I would sell the intellectual property. Like, I wouldn't try to relaunch FTX under that brand, or I would, fund somebody launching another brand and have a cut of it come back to the creditors, if they're successful, whatever. But this whole idea of like rebooting and relaunching FTX, I mean, you're just not going to get uptake. You're going to get newbies who are scared to death to go on it. And you're going to have veterans who are going to say, yeah, no, there's too much government intermingling in that fucking shit. I'm not touching that. Right. So it's like, I don't understand this strategy, but yeah. Oh, Sean said, wait a minute, I would 100% trade on FTX 2.0. So you would feel like probably it's more secure, it's been battle tested, and the money is behind it, and they're not going to fuck around again. I guess that's a good case.
So I would be curious though, Sean, I don't know if you want to share, but I know that there was some outstanding balances, not amounts, of course, but did they resolve that to your satisfaction?
Yeah, that's right.
I'd be curious about that, but that is an interesting point. I mean, I think that, look, if you show it can run, kick the tires a little bit.
He lost $1 million.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess he wants to come in and destroy it from the inside.
It says easier to take candy. I think that's why Sean would use it.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to go get 10x his money. It'll be like, we'll see him around. Everybody's like, who's this mysterious XPT guy that's been around shorting FTX into the shitter?
That's awesome.
But my point is, look, if you're trying to sell it to Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, you get a much more better price on a running institution or a going concern versus IP. So that's just, these guys are old school banker type dudes, just John J. dude or whatever his name is, or John Ray and the others. So, they're just figuring out a way to like maximize the exit, because I'm sure their contracts talk about, bonus fees on selling, at different threshold levels.
Sure.
So absolutely. You're going to probably want the higher. Yeah. So I bet that's what they're thinking. And it's best for shareholders or whomever stakeholders at this point.
Nice little pump for FTT, which is still trading on the news.
Yeah, I think the market's just weird to me right now. I see good stuff, and but there's just so much just kind of uncertainty and doom and gloom. But to me, at the underlying level, I just see some very interesting maneuvering going on. So
yeah, absolutely.
I could see this going a lot of different ways. I mean, from because think about whenever these big rallies crank. We're always like going, oh yeah, that's when it started. We're looking back. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh shit, I wasn't even thinking about that then. And and you don't even know when it starts.
Yeah.
And exactly. I feel like we're in kind of that sort of, what I mean, whether it's after all of Sean's stuff or it's not or whatever. I mean, it could go either way. I'm not saying it's one or the other, but it just seems to me like when you have this much negativity out there. Yet you see all this other activity. It's just there's a disconnect. It reminds me, quick story, when Tokyo was the big, up and comer getting ready to take out the U.S. in the late 80s, the Japan Inc. or whatever. And our friend Gavin, was working at the Treasury for, covering Japan. And, it just sort of got to the point there where you saw all the news, oh, Japan this, Japan that, where everybody's like, hey, who the heck are these guys? And, but then I said to him, I said, what do you think? And he goes, well, look, if you add up the value of all the real estate in Tokyo, in total, it's worth more than the total value of all the real estate in the United States of America. Yet if you go into the stock exchange, the main stock exchange in Tokyo, they don't even have functioning indoor plumbing. It's like outhouses and shitters, basically. So he goes, is that real? I think not. And so the thing is, when you see everything is like, in the sense that how could it be that, how can Tokyo be worth more in the entire United States when they don't have indoor plumbing in the stock market, basically?
Yeah.
It kind of just goes, something's not right.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel the same way, here, that there's just all this talk, and it's just stuff doesn't really feel right to me. And not like it's going to all go off the cliff.
Right.
But I mean, in the sense that so much doom and gloom is set in this space, yet, everything I saw last week at, BTC Miami, or everything I saw 2 weeks ago at Consensus, or we saw a month ago at ETH Denver, it's just so much building and activity going on that's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
totally.
that's why I'm sort of in this kind of not dilemma. It's a good thing, I guess, but it just seems like I'm waiting, and trying to put good bets down or good investments down, and and getting ready for the next one. But I feel, think about all the shit we went through in the last couple of years, and think about all the doom and gloom talk about inflation, and the economy and all of this, and it looks to me like we're going to get a debt ceiling deal done. Yep. It looks to me like everything's just going to keep lumbering down the track, getting ready for our next expansion. So, I don't know what's happening, but to me, I'm not that worried about stuff.
Good.
But then again, I don't worry. I don't worry, man.
Niblets is worried about the price of Canto. He said, speaking of price, Canto is currently at 15.72 Niblets cents. I am, I got some dry powder, Niblets. And, I'm just, I know we already broke Shizzy. So I think Shizzy's.
Shizzy was 19, right?
Shizzy's buying in on the way down. And Sean is sitting at
6 to 9.
I think it was
7 to 9.
6 to 9, 7 to 9, 6 to 9, whatever. It doesn't matter. Breaking 9. If we break 9, I'm pulling the trigger. Because there are some cool things happening in Canto land. Lots of cool shit. You can watch the hackathons. You can keep up with the clusters, join the developer forums. There is a lot of development happening, a lot of protocols developing. I am as bullish as ever on the future. This is not financial advice. You do whatever the fuck you want with your money. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. That you can look at my track record to see that.
Snow dog.
But exactly. You're a bitch.
I'm building up your argument, dude. I'm supporting you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. I like the product. I like the ethos. I like the tech. I like the people. I like the way the community interacts. I think it's novel and fun, but don't put any money in, you can't lose.
Look, I don't have any big bags over there, but regardless of, if you like the concept, if you're going to just take a bet on whether they can execute and get to the promised land, then look, if you're not in it yet, then this is when, again, not financial advice, but this is from the charts and everything that I've heard from all you other guys talking about it. This would be where you start looking. Because the people that do really well are the ones that come in at these points and buy, either, double buy more or initiate, but get it in those liquidity pools and then forget about it.
Yep.
Because when you're getting, what is the yield in there right now, Brad? Like 300%, 200 something? What?
Hold on.
It might be down because the price is down.
Yeah.
So it kind of lags a little bit, but
it will be.
But the point is, that's everyone I've seen where someone's turned whatever into like a boatload of coin. It's that play. And the fact is that these guys have done, as others say, the charts are respected. The charts are moving the right way. The developer team, isn't going anywhere. There's good VCs that came in after it launched to buy tokens.
Yep.
To me, it's like, the whole deal is to pick a developer team that's not going to abscond with your money and is going to actually try to succeed. These guys are trying to do that.
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
look, and here's kind of the bet I'm making. The bet I'm making is short term. There's some accumulation. There's some price rise. There's some profit to take. Longer term, though, I'd like to make a bet on this being a big player in the chain space. And I think it has some appeal, and I think it has appeal to the kinds of developers that I want to see building in this world. And so for me, there's a kind of philosophical and ethos bet, And there's like this underlying thing of, hey, yeah, I'll take some profits along the way, but I'm still going to stack and stake and stack and stake, because what I'd like to see is, 5, 10 years from now, that stack is worth a lot of money. It could be worth nothing, but that's kind of how I'm approaching it. So
yeah, I think it makes total sense. I mean, but look, you're the one who, will introduce me to these guys. So I'm not trying to like put anything on you. I'm just saying
you're trying to blame
no,
me.
I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you. I'm just more saying that you've met them and stuff. Yes. Okay. Yes. And they're real people. And of course, nobody's vouching for anybody here. And this is not financial advice, but if you get where they started from here, what the goal was, and the way they did the fair launch and all of that, there's all these things in place where, you don't get rug pull type behavior incentivized. You get like, going concern stuff. And if you're going to put a bet down, let's say, on anybody, then this would be one to consider.
Yeah.
That's all.
Look, I mean, you got pairs. You got it. Look, if you like Ethereum and you think it has a future, and you like Canto and you think it might have a future, and you want to play a bet, there's an ETH Canto pair playing 92%, right?
Yeah.
There's a Note Canto, so stable to Canto, paying 106.5%. There is a BNB. I like BNB. There's a BNB Canto pair. It is paying 85%. There's, I don't know if where the multi BTC is at this point. Let me see. It's way down, only 2.54%. I pulled out of that one because it was dropping, but I gained a little bit of token count, not overall US value with the price declines. So, there's a USDC USDT pair at 7.87%. There's a WBTC multi BTC pair at 8.68%. Do you like Bitcoin? You want to stack it?
There you go.
That seems like a no fucking brainer. Anyway, so ETH multi BTC at 14.25. Anyway,
well, so it's coming to that range where I think, as Sean said, if it gets, again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, buddy, if I misspeak, but I think he's like saying that 6 to 9, 7 to 9 range is where if it gets in there, that's accumulation phase, and then we see what happens at that point. But I think that's the best entry point at this stage.
I meant to answer Niblets. So here's what I know of what FUD was circulating to cause this over the last week. I think it was probably intentional. Somebody making a play of some kind. The core contributor had $12 million in Beefy in a Canto note pool. And someone did a Twitter thread saying he was dumping on the community because when you get your rewards in Canto on Beefy, it automatically sells half of those to buy more note. And then it goes back into the liquidity pool because that's an automated yield farm. But what they didn't talk about was the fact that it was, he's providing $12 million in liquidity to the fucking ecosystem. And so I think there was a motive for doing that
in that regard, but
I have no proof of that. But all you have to fucking do is understand how Beefy works and understand the value of providing a large amount of liquidity to the fucking chain to know how stupid that is. But it picked up speed. Evidently, this guy was some kind of influencer. People that follow him got pissed off and dumped out of Canto. I think that's where it all came from, but I don't know. It could be, just general market conditions. Never able to, 100% match it up. Sean said, my only concern is what happens if Canto is sub 9 and then the rest of the market crashes. Don't know if we'll see sub 9 soon. That's my, look, if we have a big black swan or the whole market comes crashing down for other reasons, it could be ugly on sub 9. So everyone should be careful and make their own decisions. Chuck says Kilroy DAO validator is up to number 70 for staking on Canto. Yeah, if you're looking for a validator when you're in there and you want to stake on the Kilroy DAO validator. Niblets says 80% API for Canto Note LP, half what it was last week. Sean said, nice one, Chuck. Shizzy said, I'm buying every 5 cents on Canto. I bought it 19, I bought it 14, and I'll buy it 9 and then 4. Love it, dude. Love it, love it, love it. Not missing out on these prices. Never know when the bounce happens on FUD. That's a good point too. Once people realize it's bullshit. So, so I'm ready, Joe. You ready, Joe?
Let's get out.
All right. Shizzy, Sean, Chuck, Niblets, great chats today. Love. Thanks for making us laugh, making us think, making us debate. Appreciate all of you and your brilliance. If you have not joined our community today, t.me/mission DeFi, t.me/mission DeFi. You're running out of excuses, really, at this point. You know, the laundry's done. You walked the dog. You know, you drank your last Bud Light. And now it's time to join the community. Take part. Enjoy us. Join us. Really. Seriously.
Yeah, there's going to be some Bangkok bar girls in there later on too. So
Probably so. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, really just 2 minutes. You know what? Let's just today. All I'm asking today, I'm gonna start alternating.
Does anybody ever comment?
I get comments on the website occasionally, but no, people don't take the time. Apple Podcasts is their interface is shit for leaving reviews. And you got to log into your account. You got to fucking do all this shit. You got to have an Apple ID, blah, blah.
Plus everybody's Android, right? So I don't really get there.
No, only the smart people, only the dumb people are Android. I don't know how much Spotify is better or not. We've had a few reviews come in over the years, but it'd be really nice every now and then. Just an ego, just for the dopamine, right, Joe?
I'm high on dopamine naturally, man. I don't need it.
Shit.
But yeah, get your ass in there and rate us, man, because other people come and look and they're like,
no, today is community day. Tomorrow's rate us day. Wait till after we have Sean on when the show's actually good.
I kind of feel like I have to strap in on Sean Day, like it's PTSD day myself, like wearing full hull Defilade and popping diazepam like they're, Skittles, basically, to deal with the anxiety, and then come up with a few ideas afterwards.
I have an idea for opening the show tomorrow. I'm going to have some fun.
Guillotine?
No, I got an idea. All
right. It'll be like Full Metal Jacket, something like that.
No, it's good. It's a friendly, funny. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Hope everybody has a great afternoon. We'll see you back on Thursday. Joe, have a great one.
Absolutely. You too, man.